Detroit may be the proud birthplace of America's modern automotive industry, and in 1909, Woodward Avenue became the first paved road in the United States. But did you know in 1896, most of Detroit's roadways were for bicycles? Today, there is enough pavement in Michigan roadways to build a one-lane road from the Earth to the Moon. With more than 8 million vehicles registered in the state of Michigan, bicycle safety on our roads is a constant concern. Nationally, since 2010, the number of bicyclists killed in traffic crashes has been steadily trending upwards. From 2010 to 2021, bicycle fatalities have averaged 800 per year. In 2013, Michigan law enforcement reported 1,902 bicycle-involved crashes, which included 30 fatal crashes and 1,479 injuries. 10 years later, in 2023, law enforcement reported 1,487 crashes involving a bicyclist and motor vehicle. Of those, 24 resulted in a fatality, where 1,136 cyclists were injured. When it comes to creating safer roadways, both bicyclists and drivers play crucial roles. While some cyclists may occasionally break the rules, it's important to recognize the vast majority of crashes which result in the injury or death of cyclists are the result of actions by drivers. Driver-related causes include distracted driving, failing to yield the right-of-way, impaired driving, speeding, and passing too closely. This is why fostering safe driving habits is essential to protecting vulnerable roadway users. By working together and respecting each other's space, we can ensure safer journeys for everyone on the road. In 2018, Michigan Governor Rick Snyder signed Public Act 279 and 280 into effect, which now requires motorists to give 3 feet of space as they pass bicyclists on the roadways. While state law requires a minimum of 3 feet to pass a cyclist, the following communities require a motorist to pass a cyclist giving a minimum of 5 feet. Ann Arbor, Dearborn, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo Township, Muskegon, Norton Shores, Oshtemo Township, Portage. Although these laws are on the books in Michigan, they are often hard to enforce as they are civil infractions, and a civil infraction violation in Michigan may only be issued under 3 circumstances. When an officer witnesses a violation, the officer is investigating a traffic crash, and the results of the investigation lead the officer to believe a civil infraction has occurred. The officer receives authorization from the city or state prosecuting attorney to issue the citation based on sound evidence a civil infraction has occurred. These circumstances greatly limit an officer's ability to issue a citation for a violation of the 3 feet passing law if reported after the fact. Even if an officer were to observe a violation of the safe passing law, how would or could they effectively testify in court as to the distance between the passing motor vehicle and the cyclist? An obvious violation, say passing at roughly 12 inches, would be easy to articulate in front of a magistrate, but what about the span between 2 and 3 feet? This could be much harder to articulate, let alone be detected through the officer's casual observation. This is where the C3 feet device, developed and manufactured by Codaxis LLC, comes into play. This device is designed to be fitted to the handlebar of a bicycle and once set up, measures the distance from the outer edge of the bicycle handlebars to the body panel of a passing motor vehicle. The C3 feet device allows an officer to articulate the exact distance at which the offender passed a cyclist, thus providing the reasonable suspicion needed to initiate a traffic stop and issue a violation or warning of the safe passing law. Keep in mind, the distance is to be measured from the widest point of the cyclist to the widest point of the passing motor vehicle. In most cases, this means the outer edge of the mirrors. Most vehicles have mirror sticks which protrude no more than 9 inches and may extend up to 20 inches past the outer body panel of the vehicle. Studies have found strong consequences for non-compliance has proven to be very effective in teaching drivers to observe traffic signals. This video will outline the steps to conduct effective high-visibility enforcement for Michigan's bicycle safe passing law. Step 1. Plan ahead. Before scheduling the enforcement operation, the team must be familiar with the specific statutes of the law, have support from command staff, plan well in advance and practice before the event, Brief prosecutors and judges to help them understand the importance of the operation and the citations which may result. Notify media of enforcement efforts via press conference, press releases, etc. Step 2. Know the law. Laws for drivers. 3-foot passing law. The driver of a motor vehicle overtaking a bicycle proceeding in the same direction shall pass at a safe distance of at least 3 feet to the left of that bicycle. If it is impractical to pass the bicycle at a distance of 3 feet to the left, a driver may pass at a safe distance to the left of that bicycle at a safe speed. If it is safe to do so, the driver of a vehicle overtaking a bicycle proceeding in the same direction may overtake and pass the bicycle in a no passing zone. Violation of the basic speed law. A person operating a vehicle on a highway shall operate that vehicle at a careful and prudent speed, not greater than nor less than is reasonable and proper, having due regard to the traffic, surface, and the width of the highway and of any other condition existing at that time. Note: the Michigan Judicial Institute Traffic Bench Book specifically references a condition to consider: traffic volume of other types of vehicles. Following too close. The operator of a motor vehicle shall not follow another vehicle more closely than is reasonable and prudent, having due regard for the speed of the vehicles and the traffic upon and the condition of the highway. Careless driving. A person who operates a vehicle upon a highway or other place open to the general public in a careless or negligent manner likely to endanger any person or property, but without wantonness or recklessness, is responsible for a civil infraction. Reckless driving. A person who operates a vehicle upon a highway or other place open to the general public in willful or wanton disregard for the safety of persons or property is guilty of a misdemeanor. Laws for drivers and cyclists. Holding or using a mobile electronic device while driving. An individual shall not hold or use a mobile electronic device while operating a motor vehicle. Since bicyclists must follow the same rules as a driver, this statute applies. Laws for cyclists. Limited access highways. A pedestrian or other non-motorized traffic shall not be permitted on a limited access highway in this state. Riding as far right as practicable. A person operating a bicycle upon a highway or street at less than the existing speed of traffic shall ride as close as practicably to the right-hand curb or edge of the roadway, except as follows: when overtaking and passing another bicycle or vehicle proceeding in the same direction, when preparing to turn left, when conditions make the right-hand edge of the roadway unsafe or reasonably unusable by bicycles, when operating a bicycle in a lane in which the traffic is turning right but the individual intends to go straight, when operating a bicycle upon a one-way street that has 2 or more marked traffic lanes. These are just a few of the laws the detail can look for while conducting the enforcement action. Step 3. Assembling the enforcement team. Police enforcement of the 3-foot passing law is best achieved with a 3-officer team: a decoy cyclist, a spotter cyclist, officer and vehicle to stop and cite or warn drivers and violations. Step 4. Choosing the location. Long, straight roads with significant lines of sight are best used for this type of enforcement action. Stay away from roads with significant hills and curves, as this creates safety issues for the decoy and spotter cyclist. Avoid narrow lanes. Roadways with 2 lanes in the same direction are desired, as they provide plenty of room for a motor vehicle to pass without violating the 3-foot buffer. When choosing a site, it's important to select a safe path to stop violators. The event should be scheduled during daylight hours. Avoid sites that interfere with commercial establishments. Step 5. Placing signs. Signs should be placed along the roadway enforcement area, providing drivers ample warning that they are required to give cyclists 3 feet when overtaking. Signs could include "Cyclists on Roadway." The League of Michigan Bicyclists can provide this signage for enforcement actions. Step 6. Duties of the decoy cyclist. Install and ensure the C3 feet device is operating correctly and measurement is accurate. Ride as right as practicable in the roadway without swerving or quick directional changes. Signal all intentions to turn and/or slow and stop. Acknowledge drivers who pass with care with a wave or similar gesture. Communicate close passes and distance to spotter cyclists so they can relay the information to the vehicular officer. Step 7. Duties of the spotter cyclist. Watch for violations, then radio information on vehicles to vehicular officer for enforcement actions.
327 to 326, close passing, gray Ford Ranger.
Provide details which will be helpful in explaining violations. How close the vehicle came to the cyclist, whether the vehicle accelerated aggressively, whether the vehicle passed into oncoming traffic. Step 8. Duties of the vehicular officer.
327 to 326.
326 copies, trying to catch up to it now.
The officer should stop violators as they are reported. Ensure citations are completed to include notes for citations or the warning ticket and give it to the driver along with an informational flyer. Make notes on the log sheet about details of violations to include time, location, traffic conditions, as well as the make and the color of the vehicles. Important enforcement guidelines. Begin with a high level of consistent enforcement. Law enforcement officers can gradually reduce the level of enforcement over time as they observe improved compliance and fewer citations in the area. It's also important to randomly select the times and the sites to make enforcement unpredictable. Follow these guidelines for successful enforcement, and you'll be able to improve bicycling safety in your community. The end goal is for everybody to be safe on the road. Getting out there to educate the community is the first step. When you continue enforcement and do it consistently, you'll see changes. You'll see that behavior does change, and you can change it. You can get to the point where you can come back to a place where hardly anybody gave cyclists space in the beginning, and it'll be hard to find somebody who doesn't. The League of Michigan Bicyclists has 3 C3 feet devices to lend to interested agencies. They will also provide a coach to help you get your enforcement activity off the ground. Contact the League of Michigan Bicyclists via email, info@lmb.org, for more information.